In part 2, we'll look at the history of policing in Nigeria, the challenges, the recruitment and funding of a state police, as well as the advantages of a state-owned police. The first ever recognized police unit was in 1861 and had 30 men. It was a creation of the colonial masters with the annexation of Lagos as a British colony. Then by 1862, the number increased to 100 men and 600 men by 1863. These men were largely drawn from ex-slaves from Sierra Leone. The force unit was mainly created as a tool of repression and suppression, control and order, to protect the Britons and their properties against citizen agitators who would want to go against the desires of their masters. To qualify as an officer, all you needed to do was to pass a fitness test. Education was never part of the criteria, neither also were the men schooled thereafter. In 1888, the Northern Constabulary was created in Lokoja. The Niger Coast Constabulary was created in 1894 in Calabar, while Lagos was created in 1896 and they remained the central command station. But the Nigeria Police became a unified organ under the federal command of an Inspector General on the 1st of April 1930. By the provisions of the 1963 Constitution, native or community policing was allowed to operate until February 1968, when under the General Yakubu Gowon regime, all other expressions of policing were collapsed and recruited into a unitary Nigeria police force. So what went wrong?
It's because of history. It's because of where we're coming from and how how politicians made use of local police in the 60s and how we saw the impact of it with elections, with electoral violence, and the rest is history. It's because of where we're coming from. However, if you want to negotiate the arena for state police, what can we learn? Is it limiting the scope of what they can do? Is it limiting their operational framework? Is it looking at how do you coordinate? What would be the coordinating mechanism? There are different ways we can look at it to strengthen what we had before that was abused, to ensure that it's not abused as we move forward, because it will keep coming back onto the table because it is a necessity.
According to the antagonist of state police, the state governors may hijack the agency for their personal political use, as was in the 1960s.
I know why people are apprehensive about state police, that the governors might misuse them. But that's where the law should come in. In a constitutional democracy, you cannot afford not to have a strong rule of law. That's just it. If we can strengthen the rule of law, a governor misuses it, the state police, you lift the immunity and jail one, every other one will sit up. But if we won't do this, if it's a case of cash and carry, a governor can do anything, go to a court under the impression that he has immunity, they will not even sue the person. You are waiting for him to leave office and he can commit all manner of things. That's why people are jittery. But otherwise, if we allow the rule of law to thrive in this country, these are not the things you bother about. Like in the US, you think they bother about things like that a governor will misuse the police, or a local government chairman, a mayor will misuse the police. No, but that has long been conquered. So we need to take care of the basic things. If we take care of those things, these other ones will stay on top.
But is this fear enough to stop the creation of a state police, considering the weight of insecurity facing the country now? What can be done to prevent these from happening?
In addition to the creation of state policing, which is a constitutional issue, because we need to amend the constitution to reflect that, we must insert all the safety guards. A strong judiciary is very important. We must also agree that the citizens must be alert in order not to allow any governor to misuse the state police that is actually being funded by taxpayers in order to oppress the citizens in the state or in the jurisdiction. We must agree on that. We must also agree that in case of any operation, in case any violation, then there will be an intervention by the federal police in order to ensure that there is no, a violation of anyone's rights, in the various states where the governors now have state policing. So these are some of the safety guards, in addition to some other ones that people will suggest in order to ensure that this sees the light of the day.
Is the rule of law. That's just the challenge. If we have the courts make decisions or take actions on certain things almost immediately, most of these things will not be happening. Now, today we are talking about electoral malpractices and fraud during election, even to do with thuggery and all. How many people have been jailed? I heard somebody saying that over 5,000 cases, or 50, about 5,000 or so in the last election. Can you sit down here today and tell me that one person has been jailed? So that's the challenge. So, and we want it to stop. So that's why some of us have said, yeah, it's good to amend the Electoral Act, but that will not solve everything. Because even in the old act, there are enough things there to jail anybody involved in malpractice. But nobody has been jailed. Electoral violence, nobody's been jailed for snatching ballot boxes. So till you take action, people are not likely to change their behavior. Human beings all over the world, whether Africans or Caucasians or Asians, is the law. The way that people, we say it, somebody is in the US, is in the UK, he's in the airport, he will join the queue. He's waiting for a bus, he will join the queue. He comes to Nigeria, he disregards all that. It's a law. You are driving on the opposite side of the road here in Nigeria because you can get away with it. But you're in the UK, you can't even think of it. Because the law. They will first throw you into jail to know whether you are sane. And then when they determine that you are okay and all that, they hit your pocket. So these are things to restrain you from behaving like an animal. But here, it's not there. If you have money, you can buy your way and walk away with anything. So that's why I say the rule of law in a constitutional democracy is key. It must function effectively well. And all it takes when you have state police, jail one governor. You don't need to jail more than one. You will see everybody line up. Anything happens and they come to say you, please, what is the right thing to do? That the commissioner reports to you does not mean that you misuse the authority of your office. Just jail one. It's a governor that's voted for. You are not waiting till after 8 years in office or 4 years in office. Straight from government house, is going to jail. You will see what will happen.
Are the advantages of a state police more than its disadvantages?
In Nigeria, having a state police, I think it's a good idea. Now, one of the advantages I can think of now is proper management of the police system, because it being controlled from the federal is kind of big, while the state is smaller compared to the federal. So you have a good management and good overview, a view of the police system in the state. 1. 2, if you have a state police, the police academy or the police department will know more about the state itself, more about the people, and can manage better, know about the criminal offenses going on in the states and all of that, and know how to cater for the people. So I think that's the advantage of the state police.
I'm sure they'll be able to add to what the Nigerian police is doing, because they will also understand the environment better. So it's a welcome idea, and it's really needed.
It's very important to have the state policing, and they will have enough funds to get enough equipment and materials to ensure that the crime reduce. I hope, I have a key. I believe that state police will be fine. The head of the state police, as the state police head, we're able to go around the state and look at the crime itself, look at the issues around, than even having someone in Abuja taking charge of the whole stuff.
Let's begin to imitate what others have done and have gotten it right, and then put it here and then localize our own and then add value to it and get it right and move as a nation. That for us, that's the way for us to go. Else, we are going behind, going back to 15th century, and that again is not too good for us.
If and when created, what happens to the Central Nigeria Police? What happens to Amotekun, Ebobeagu, and Hisba?
They will still come in. They'll play what I want to call the grassroots grassroots structure. Grassroots structure, we generate intelligence from information, pieces of information coming in. And this information mostly flow from the grassroots. We mustn't abandon all these subnational or regional policing groups or groupings you just mentioned. They are highly important, more so given their connection with the people at the grassroots level. It's important. Any police commissioner in any state, after the state police is created, any commissioner of police who does not recognize the role of all these organizations does not know what he's doing. All I am emphasizing on is that it should be so done in a way that they play a vital role at the grassroots, generating information.
Federal will have been doing their own thing. There will be collaboration, though, like it happens in the Western world, there will be collaboration. But everyone is operating independently. Like even today now, you have the civil defense, they are armed. Then you have the state Department of State Security. Then you have the police. You have the army. At times they have joint patrols, but they still know their area of operations or the scope of work. They maintain them, but they have to work together. The same thing. Like I said, for most federal roads, if the federal police are enough to patrol federal roads, yeah. But if they are not enough to patrol federal roads, just like what is happening today, when federal roads are very bad, state governors intervene. Whether they get the money back is a different thing entirely, because that is your state. I even have an argument against that. If you have a major road traversing the cities, you see it's a federal road, but the people passing through that road are paying tax in the state, it's not coming to the federal. So fix it. So I'm very sure when we have that law tomorrow, they can work together. If you don't have enough policemen to man the federal roads, the state police can very well man them. Because if you kidnap anybody on the federal road, that person is from the state. And it constitutes a security issue that may make investors not stay in that state to do business. So the state will not sit down and say, because it's a federal road and it's being patrolled by the federal, they don't have enough manpower to do that, and will leave the entire road. No.
Cases of emergency, they were child of circumstance. I'm talking about all these other ones you've mentioned. They became imperative when the federal policing system failed. They had to resort to this ad hoc arrangement in order to secure lives and property within their jurisdiction. Now that we are going to formalize the state policing system, it will be imperative that those other emergency circumstances that we have actually utilized to solve a problem, which is a stopgap, we can now recruit them into the formal policing system. That will be the best thing, and then train them, recruit them, train them properly, and then fund the policing system right. Because the fear of everyone is that these governors will become overlords and they will use state police in order to oppress their political opponents and begin to violate the rights of citizens, especially for those that are clearly averse to criticism. They won't want anyone to criticize them. So it's important we agree that there must be a strong institution like the judiciary.
How about funding and recruitment?
I call them the big five. There are 5 major issues with the Nigerian security sector, which, if addressed, you have addressed nearly 70 to 65% of the problem. Paramount in that 5 is funding, manpower, logistics and equipment, training, welfare, motivation. Funding has always been a major problem with us, until we really sit down and look at how we can address that. Then we will now try to micro the issue or the problem of funding down to funding of the security sector, be it at the subnational level or the federal level. You find out that we still have to tinker a great deal with what to do. Why am I saying this? For instance, funding of the defense security or security and defense issues at the federal level can never be adequate if we rely only on budgetary allocation. Never. Don't be deceived. Why am I saying that? Because when you talk of defense or national security, my brother, you just keep pumping in money. You are not even seeing what the money is doing. That is expenditure for defense for you. Fine, all the subheads to be there, but you keep it. The point I'm making is that it's a sector where you don't expect to see profits coming out. Oh, we have popped in this. How much did you make in first quarter, second quarter, the way you guys calculate all the... No. Your entire national budget is not up to what the US military spends on R&D alone. I'm talking of just R&D. That will give you some sense of how much or how intensive, how capital intensive it could be when you're talking of defense and security expenses or expenditure. Bringing it back home, how would the state manage to fund their state policing? Every state will look within its resources. It's only unfortunate we live in a time when every state looks up to the federal government for money and so on. And that's why I keep saying, look, let's practice true federalism and let people run their affairs. In the absence of true federalism, every governor has become a beggar. Every governor can decide to be very idle. At the end of the month, what is there for me? After all, well, we've sold oil now. What is there for me? Yes, because he knows some billions will come from somewhere. If he knows, look, oh boy, if you joke, you cannot pay even your driver. You blood well work. When you want to be a governor, you will think twice. Am I ready for this headache? Or I better remain in my house? But it's big luxury today. In fact, go in there and at the end, pick how much you need, pocket it and go home. The easiest way of making money today in Nigeria is to be a politician or go into public service. Simple. You come out a billionaire and nobody's asking you. Whether you call them EFCC or whatever. I said nobody's asking you. So states have to look inwards. States have got to look inwards in seeing how they finance their security structure on ground, especially when you talk about the police. To a greater extent, Lagos State is getting it right. One state I am so much in love with, looking at it relatively with the other states where governors are just idling about. Fine, there is one fine gentleman in Borno, Professor Zulum. Oh, another fantastic chap. Oh my God. I wish some of these guys could emerge as presidents someday. We know we are blessed. You just see them dotted like that. Very few. The remaining are all just idling away and making money for themselves. And there's nothing the rest of us can do. There's just nothing we can do.
The truth is most states are not utilizing the full potentials that they have. IGR. There are states that are just not driving revenue from the states. Because they come to the center to take money at the end of the month and they think that is okay. But they have potentials to get far more than they get from the federal, from the FAC, if they drive the IGR. But they're not doing anything about it. So that's why we are saying if you allow power to go to the states, and then we discard this feeding bottle federalism, once we are not getting, because they say there's no free lunch, not anywhere, not even in Freetown. But people are getting away with free lunch here. You know, so if you allow people to fend for themselves, there's so much money in the states that they can raise to develop the state and take care of the security.
Like Lagos State government, we can confirm, we know how many gadget equipment that the state government have given to the police. Some states are fiable than others. You understand? Most of the fiable states, you talk about Kaduna, Kano, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Rivers State, they should have funding to do that. Some states might be impacted. Some states, they are financially challenged. They are not that financially buoyant. Those who might be reluctant in the number of people they recruit and everything. But some viable states that are economically viable, they will have enough funds. And they're already doing that. And most of these states already that we even thought they are not viable, they spend billions on what they call security food.
They will set out their criteria for recruitment. You all know that. Officer cadre, maybe you are looking for officers. I'm looking for what's it called, graduates, and so on, and several other elements that will come in as part of the criteria. Maybe experience in the sort of job I'm doing, you know, as a security person. If you are a graduate and you've probably had some wealth of experience in security companies and so on, I have a few graduates in my company who are doing real well. And if such a thing is emerging and they are interested and they pick up forms and fill, I think such an experience will count for them. So I see. People who have read, now we have degrees in security management and so on. I hope you know that, right up to PhD level. People who have read relevant things like that. Then of course, lawyers, sociologists. The police is one place where nearly everybody is welcome, given the nature of its job. What does the law say? Does the law say that to be part of the Lagos State Police structure, you must be a Lagos indigene? If the law says that, yes. If the law does not say that, it's unfortunate. Now, has the law any room for those of us that have stayed so long in Lagos and have virtually become part of the Lagos life? Those of us who visit home only on Christmas, spend 3-4 days and dash back to Lagos. Another year you go home again, 3-4 days. Are you a Lagosian or you are still from Akwa Ibom? That is true. Most of us are Lagosians. Thank God we can still speak our native tongue. For our children, they are already lost. They are already speaking Yoruba here. I hope you know that. That's the truth.
Is the creation of state police, therefore, the real solution to Nigeria's security challenges?
It's just one of the avenues one of the hurdles that we need to cross, right? And we cross it. We still talk about coordination, we talk about review, we talk about assessment, and we keep looking at the process. It's not the end road. It's part of the hurdles that we just need to cross.
I'm not saying that, getting state police will solve all our insecurity issue. In addition to all of that, we also need to get some of the structures right, like having all our names in a data, in a single, that where you can, you punch Mr. Bani, Onyekachu Bani, my name will proper, and all the information you require about where I live, where I come from, my number with which I operate my account, just like my BVN and all that. So you can trace me. So even if I commit any crime now in Agege and disappear to Keja, you can trace me. Unlike what happens now. You can commit a crime in Agege and you vanish in Ikeja. Nobody know where you are for the rest of your life. You can't do that in America. If you like, run wherever you are running, because of the fact that you have one single number, which you must use. If you must leave, they will immediately know which state you have run to, and they will trace you and get you and all that. So we must also get the issue of data of Nigeria and their basic biometrics, right, so that we can begin to actually ensure that we have protection for lives and property. So, but the beginning point is this issue of state policing. So, having brought such a bill before the National Assembly, I think that whosoever has brought it should be able to push it to a logical conclusion.
The demand of Nigerians from their leaders are simple. Secure lives and property, as the Constitution demands that they do.
That is why most of them see the payment of salaries as achievement. How can you see payment of workers' salaries as achievement? Were you paying from your pocket? Is it your private money? You are paying people their entitlement, they have worked. You are saying, if you have not paid, I'll call you a thief. I'll call you a thief, whether you are stealing on behalf of the state or whatever. It's the man's entitlement, you pay him. If Nelson has worked with TVC, you pay him his salary. Don't count payment of his salary as some achievement. And ignorantly, with PhD, which some of them carry, they sit dance around and pride themselves that payment of salary was an achievement.
If that means amending the Constitution to make provisions for the creation of state police, then so be it.
We have the federal courts, we have the state courts, and we're not having challenges with that. So why can't we look at it from the beginning of the criminal justice chain and see how we can have state and federal police and see how we can coordinate that effectively?
People most likely will move to where they feel they are secured. They can sleep with both eyes closed. They can go for their business and their businesses will be secured. So maybe at the end of the day, that will determine. If you are a small state and you think you don't have too much mineral resources, but just from taxation and giving people services, the place is peaceful, there's every likelihood that investors will go there.
At the end of the day, there will be order, security, and stability in the land. Everyone will go about his or her daily affairs without the fear of either being killed or kidnapped. Nigeria will have increased foreign investment. The economy will grow. Both government and citizens will sleep at night with both eyes closed. There will be peace and joy in the land again.